Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the infamous Pokemon remakes that let everybody down due to their faithfulness to the originals. It's a tale as old as time that I'm sure you were already aware of. But, contrary to popular belief, these games did have something positive to bring to the table. In the original Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, there were a couple of events in the game that unlocked the mythical Pokemon introduced in that generation, being Darkrai and Shaman. These events were genuinely pretty cool because they sent you to different locations usually inaccessible to get these mythical Pokemon. They weren't mystery gifts that just handed them to you. These events included receiving the member card to get Darkrai and Oak's letter to get Shaman. Oddly enough, these events went unused in Diamond and Pearl, but were later events for Platinum. So why am I talking about events that were only in Platinum when BDSP is a Diamond and Pearl remake? Well, these events were actually brought back and were distributed in early 2022 for BDSP. So, fresh off of getting my shiny Turtwig for my Shining Pearl shiny only video, which you can watch here, I picked up these two event items and kept them safe in my key items for the day I would actually use them. But I forgot to mention something. There was another event that went completely unused across all versions of Sinnoh, the Arceus event. Apparently it was too confusing to release, even though all you do is receive the item and walk up some stairs. Arceus did get its own event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but the one in Sinnoh was lost to time. Until BDSP brought it back in a sort of funny way. Get this, to get the item that unlocks Arceus, the Azure Flute, you have to, you ready? Complete the Pokédex in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and the Azure Flute will appear in your room on the Switch profile that did it. Now if you stop and think about it, this is a scummy move, locking Pokemon God behind buying another game. But if you were gonna get both games anyway, like me, this wasn't too much of a problem. Well, I still had to complete a Pokédex in a completely separate game, but still not too much of a problem. But this begs the question, if Arceus is a part of the Pokédex in Legends Arceus, and to unlock Arceus in BDSP you have to complete that Pokédex, what's the point? I already have an Arceus. Well, that's actually a great question. But surprisingly, this Arceus isn't shiny locked like the one in Legends. But wait, isn't every modern legendary Pokemon shiny locked? Normally, yeah. But since BDSP is so faithful to Diamond and Pearl, none of the legendaries are shiny locked in these games. This also includes the mythical Pokemon events. So, for the very first time legitimately, Arceus can be shiny hunted. After realizing this monumental discovery, I made it my goal to get a legitimate shiny Arceus. Now that I've properly explained the situation, I can now tell you how horrible this hunt was. The very first step of this hunt was to complete the Pokédex in Legends Arceus. From what I can remember, and from what I can gather from the video I made on this exact topic 2 years ago, which I don't recommend you watch, it was pretty fun completing the Pokédex. The real issue was the hunt itself. Each reset was about a minute and a half. That's a lot of time for a reset. To put that into perspective, in 1 hour, if you're quick and don't waste any time, you can get 45 resets in. Divide odds, 1 in 4096, by that number, and it takes 91 hours to even reach odds. That is borderline torture. But even knowing that, my shiny hunting brain rot itself still thought this was a good idea. So the big question is, how long did it take me? Well, besides the fact that the title says 2 years, first I have to get into how I optimized this hunt. It was completely out of the question to buy another copy of the game because I'm just not doing that, I have standards. But what I did do is implement this hunt into things I would normally be doing so that I'm not completely wasting my time. What I mean by that is the development of the no effort shiny hunting method. The Switch has a feature to change the button mapping on your controllers. Before doing this hunt, I thought this feature was completely unnecessary, but I was thankfully proven wrong because I used it to my advantage. I made a special preset that allows me to hunt with only one hand, and this is what it looks like. This method made shiny hunting while watching shows or movies so easy and convenient, and with that, I got on the grind. But here's where the problem with this hunt comes in. My lack of consistency. I would hunt for about an hour every night for maybe a week or two, then completely forget about it. But then after a while, I would remember that I still had this hunt going on, start doing it again, then forget about it again. This cycle went on for literally 2 years. But pretty recently, I found myself with 2 weeks off with nothing to do. So, as any sane person would, I resumed my hunt for a shiny Arceus. But this wasn't just any shiny Arceus hunt. Definitely not like the ones before. It was a special, really ridiculous shiny Arceus hunt. Remember that no effort shiny hunting method I just explained? Well, I have something way worse. Well, it's better in a practical sense, but worse in the way that it's extremely... I really don't even know how to describe it. I was shiny hunting with my feet while doing other things at my desk. Now, if you think about it, this is very time efficient and practical, as I was hitting 2 birds with 1 stone at all times. But it also looked like I was one of those dopamine fried babies with 30 screens in front of them. Anyway, now that I had this absolute monster of a method, I got to work. And after 3 straight days, this happened.
Yo! I got it! Yes!
I finally got that stupid Arceus, but I have to say, it looks so nice on my screen.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna... Nah, I'm using the Master Ball.
I wasted no time, snatched that thing up in my Master Ball, and that's the end of that.
Yes! Yes! He's yellow! He's...
But how many resets? The biggest question. I didn't actually count. But luckily for me, at the end of my Shining Pearl video, I showed that my Switch had tracked about 485 hours of playtime. Now currently, I have about 590 hours of playtime. So with some quick calculations, I hunted for about 105 hours. Times that number by how many resets an hour, I'll say about 40 to be safe, and that gives me about 4,200 resets. That isn't too bad. A little above odds, but that's okay. It definitely felt like a lot more than 4,200 resets, but that's what I get for taking this challenge on. Now that I finally had this thing I'd been chasing for 2 years, I can finally give an answer to what the point of all of this was. To prove that I'm the king of wasting time!